have here with us today Professor Alfredo Fernandez-Gonzalez, who is a professor of architecture and director of Natural Energies Advanced Technologies Laboratory at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Good afternoon, sir, and thank you for taking your time to speak to us on such a short notice. This will be a very short interview, and what we are trying to do here is we are trying to take all the expert opinions and integrate it into our architectural education. So we'll start.
Thank you.
Can you please share your thoughts on the importance of assessing built environment performance in the 21st century?
That's an excellent question, and you may have heard this response before, but you cannot manage what you do not measure.
Yeah.
And so if we really are looking into designing environments which are truly sustainable, the first thing that we need to do is identify the current state of affairs. So hence measuring and evaluating performance. And so with that knowledge and information, we can then proceed to design buildings that take those lessons into consideration. So measuring building performance, assessing the opinions of the occupants through post-occupancy evaluation, all of these are critically important to really understand the status of the built environment and the opportunities that exist to make it better.
Okay. So how do you think that we can integrate this into architectural education?
That's a very important question, and it forces architectural education to not only focus on form making or the craft of architecture, but also to understand the implications of the built environment. Everything that we do carries some consequences. Every building we design may be, occupied and used for 40, 50, 60 years. And hence it's critical that we learn how to gauge, how to measure that performance. And the way to teach it to students partly is through the use of case studies, field investigations where the students measure light, temperature, assess physically the characteristics of the projects, and are able to draw conclusions from those experiences. So case study instruction is one very important element. The second one, and it's one that is becoming extremely popular in my university and in North America, is what we call design-build studios. Design-build studios essentially work with, for example, communities which may not be able to afford the services of an architect. So you take a community that cannot take advantage of an architect's work and expertise, and you design and build a project for them. These projects tend to be small residential projects, but these are structures in which the students apply all the lessons that they have been learning in school. And through the assessment of those projects and designs, obviously there is a tremendous learning that happens and the opportunities to further influence future projects as students have developed a very robust base of knowledge and information.
That's very interesting. How do you get the funding? You get more people involved?
Designing projects, for example, do require a certain level of funding. It could be done through a foundation. For example, if you apply for funds from a non-for-profit organization, an international organization, which may already have in its mission assisting the poor, or for example, bringing sanitation to poor areas, or trying to redesign an area that is vulnerable to natural disasters, you can work in collaboration with these organizations, and you can offer the design and sometimes even the construction for these projects, which hence makes the experience for the students very interesting because they get to get their hands dirty. You basically do a hands-on project that leaves really lifelong lessons, right, that are very important in their learning. In the case of the case studies, I can tell you that acquiring a good sort of set of equipment to measure temperature, humidity, light levels, weather station, all of these devices can help do the case studies that could be run in the context of a class. A quick example. Suppose that in your design studio a museum will be executed. Then you can go to one or two museums locally and measure light levels, temperatures, learn lessons of things that are working and also things that are not. so that you do not replicate the mistakes and hopefully learn from the positive lessons. So all of these require more than anything, more than the cost release, an integration that is done in the curriculum at the appropriate levels. You will not benefit from having design building the first year, and so you probably start with the case studies, the site visits, and then possibly in the 4th or 5th year, that is when the design build studio could be very beneficial to the students.
Usually, performance is measured in terms of efficiency, and architecture is something which is usually said to be visually enjoyed or experienced. So how do you think could be the new aesthetics of sustainable performance-oriented architecture?
It is not me saying this, but we can. And so to reach the intangible, you first have to go through the measurable.
Okay.
And so for a building to be aesthetically striking, to be inspirational to its users, to be delightful to the people that visit it, you actually need to focus on studying with great detail all the things that comprise that building's performance, namely lighting, the temperature conditions, the use of water, for example, the provision of courtyards, the strategies employed. So you basically need to recognize that, as you mentioned, architecture is something that is mostly experienced through our sense of sight, but to really be that striking, inspirational building needs to have gone first through a series of steps that focus on the most mundane, calculating the structural system, sizing the foundation, allocating the apertures for appropriate daylighting and ventilation. So all of those things and that technical competence is necessary if you ever are going to design a truly striking and inspirational building.
Okay. And that's the end of the interview. Thank you so much for speaking to us, and I hope you enjoy the stay with CAT.
Thank you. It's really a pleasure to be here at the College of Architecture of Trivandrum, and I thank you for your hospitality and this great event.
Thank you.